15 athletes have won their spots in the STIHL Timbersports U.S. Championship semifinals. There are 5 positions remaining, and today 10 competitors from Pool D will battle it out for those last 5 coveted places. Here we go, continuing on the road to the championships, the U.S. Championship 2021 STIHL Timbersports U.S. Qualifiers. Now, we started with 40 hopefuls. We've got 15 of them already going to the championship. We have one more pool remaining. That is Pool D. Kevin Holtz, tell us who's the standout in this field.
Oh, that's an easy one. You can put anybody in this chair. They'll tell you. Nate Hodges. If you were watching our 2019 season, you were as blown away as I was by the performance that Nate Hodges put on. Unbelievable rookie debut for this guy. Unless he has suffered some cataclysmic illness that I'm not aware of, look for big things from Nate Hodges here in 2021. There's some other top-notch competitors, though, as well. Walt Page, I've loved watching him come through the college ranks. He has been a great clinician in this sport. And then the other one that comes to mind is David Green. We also saw him come through the college ranks. However, he battled injuries along the way. He's back. He appears to be healthy. Who knows? All cards on the table for David Green.
Really looking forward to this. Some exciting, explosive athletes on display today in Pool D. The first 3 disciplines are coming right up. In round 1, our 10 competitors will compete in 3 events: the underhand, the stock saw, and the standing block. Then only our top 8 advance after that round into round 2. In this round, they'll compete in the single buck and the springboard. 6 athletes with the most points after round 2 advance to the final round. The remaining field of 6 survivors will compete in the hot zone. This unpredictable event will be the final competition to decide who moves on to the semifinal round, which certainly ratchets up the stress of making 3 complete and clean cuts within the allowed distance. So let's get started on this next segment of our journey to find the U.S. champion for 2021. Pool D action commences with our first discipline, which is the underhand chop. North Carolina's Daryl Weekland going up against Missouri's Aaron Hodges.
3, 2, 1, go!
Bit of a hang-up from both these guys on their opening blows. May have got the heel of the axe in there a little heavier. The best situation is when that axe goes deeper into the block than you're expecting. Drive positions, they're around, opening up the backside.
Uh-oh,
whoa,
what was that?
Daryl Weekland with a wild blow way over to the side. Hopefully that did not go up into the foothold, the flat area where he's standing. I think we're seeing some 2021. Oh, and Aaron Hodges is off already.
There you go. Hodges with a time of 28.60. We'll have to see about Daryl Weekland. Probably have Rich Hallett take a look at that.
2020, essentially an entire off season for these competitors. 2021, we're trying to turn things back on. Daryl Weekland, a wild blow as he turns to the second side of this log. If he is cut into this foothold, which is under review, that would be a disqualification and a horrible blow right out of the gate for Daryl Weekland.
Feel okay. That block was pretty firm. I've been training quite a bit here the last few weeks, and I got my nerves kind of lined out now, so looking forward to the next few events.
Well, again, the Hodges time 28.60, and yes, it was a DQ for Daryl Weekland. Well, 28.6 now from Aaron Hodges, the time to beat. This is a matchup between the veteran Mike Esch going up against David Green from Bend, Oregon.
3, 2,
David has experience in the U.S. Championships before.
We watch David come out of the collegiate ranks, a quick step off. I mentioned this with Weekland. I think we're going to see some nerves, some jitters, some excess foot movement in this underhand chop. David, though, around cleanly, good opening. He is shortening up the backside of this block. He stepped way inside his lines. That may have been intentional if he thinks he's got a good block. It may have been accidental. It looks like he makes it work. He's stepping back up. Oh, this is I hate that moment. I absolutely hate that moment as a competitor. Yeah, there you go. David hates that moment too. He stepped off the block thinking it was severed, questioned it, went back up to the block, put in one more hit. That is just a cataclysmic amount of time that just rolled by.
Yeah, gave up a couple of seconds there, but still in all, 25.83 is going to take the top spot. Mike Ash behind, 26.41.
I was just all over the place. I didn't have my balance. I was falling off the block. You can tell it's my first competition block of the year. It was just very unbalanced and all over the place, so I need to clean that up.
Very interesting pair up in heat number 3 of the underhand here. It's going to be Mel Lentz versus Thomas Lancaster. Mel Lentz, the legend in timber sports. Mel Lentz at 62 years of age going up against a man 30 years his junior.
Mel Lentz, often and consistently referred to as the king of the lumberjacks. A little bit of a hesitation there, uncharacteristic for Mel. A little trouble in the bottom of that block. Again, the nerves are getting to everybody, even if you've done 1,000 of these things. Lancaster around the back of this block looks to be a bit on the crispy side. Either that or the axe just doesn't seem to like it. He's working on slicing his way through. He's going to draw one more chip at the bottom. There it is, Lancaster, followed shortly thereafter by Lentz. Go back and watch Tom Lancaster and Mel Lentz cutting head-to-head. Mel just putting the hits in, taking this block apart. I know he's not going to be happy with this time, but for crying out loud, the man is 62 years old, and he is cutting with the best of them. He is in the STIHL Timbersports Series, looking to advance to semifinals action.
Real tight competition there in Lancaster with a 25-34, Mel Lentz 25-86. Heat number 4 of the underhand, Walt Page, the forester from up in the Sierras, California, going up against Josh Wilson.
Stand to your timber.
Josh Wilson, the West Virginia University.
1, go.
We've got to see both of these guys compete back in the collegiate days of the STIHL Timbersports Series. This is just a testament to how that's brought so many competitors along to the highest levels in this sport. Walt Page around, Josh Wilson just one swing behind him, opens up, creates some great corners to drive into. He's getting into the larger diameter part of the log. Here goes Walt to drive. It's Walt Page off one hit ahead of Josh Wilson. I'd like to point out that these guys are dissecting these logs. They're tearing them apart limb for limb in a very strategic pattern. I got to give credit to Walt Page on this. He was spanning the axe. His high hits were higher, his low hits were lower, and I think that just set him up and got him to the middle of the log a little bit cleaner and a little bit quicker.
No, I was just trying not to mess up too bad. It was really where I was going on that one. I mean, it was a good piece of wood. The axe was cutting it fine, so really it was just coming down to not making any big errors, letting the axe do some work there.
23.33 for Page, 24.26 for Josh Wilson. Final heat of the underhand, this is going to be Trevor Beaudry from Walpole, New Hampshire, a STIHL competitor since 2014, up against the sensation from the last time we contested this U.S. championship, Nate Hodges of California.
I'm still just stymied by the success we saw from Nate Hodges in 2019. You kept waiting for that rookie failure, that rookie bobble, and it never happened. He was so close to becoming a champion in his first year in timber sports. It was absolutely insane. He's posted a solid time here, but he cannot take down Trevor Beaudry, cutting very strong in the underhand.
Beaudry's time, 21.89, a great time for the former college national championship runner-up, Nate Hodges, 24.79.
Got a little lost in the front, but made it work and just bared down and took it off in the back, and it came apart really well in the back. It's fun getting back into it, but definitely feeling some stuff out.
One discipline down in our first elimination round, and remember, the bottom 2 on the leaderboard will be eliminated after this first knockout round. Coming up, side-by-side chainsaw racing is next, the stock saw. STIHL Timbersports is sponsored by STIHL, maker of a full line of gasoline and battery-powered handheld outdoor power equipment. Find yours at stihlusa.com. By the Duluth Trading Company, the official workwear of STIHL Timbersports. By Ace Hardware. Ace is the helpful place. And by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. Hayward, Wisconsin, one of the 4 locations hosting our first ever virtual competition. We have athletes from around the country competing to be one of the 20 competitors who will move on to the 2021 STIHL Timbersports U.S. Championship semifinals. Today, 10 competitors from Pool D compete in 3 rounds of competition. We are in the middle of round 1 with 1 discipline down. After round 1, the field will be cut to 8 competitors with the most points. Now, we move into our second of 3 disciplines in round 1, the stock saw. To tell us more about this event, here's Dave Jewett with our discipline review.
Stock saw, 2 competitors going head-to-head with identically tuned MS-661 chainsaws. After a 15-second warm-up, all 8 fingers must be crossing that line. On go, with speed, they retrieve the saw. With precision, they enter the saw into the wood, listening to the RPMs, feeling the saw cutting through the wood, severing that first clean disc. Then, the perfect transition, and again, with precision, entering the log for the upcut. Hopefully seeing 2 complete discs on the ground, and of course, this 4-inch line remaining for a leading cut.
Let's kick off our second discipline, the stock saw. This is Thomas Lancaster, the speed climbing specialist, lumberjack performer from Vermont, going up against the Pennsylvanian by way of West Virginia University, Josh Wilson.
Equally matched blocks of wood, equally matched steel chainsaws. Comes down to the operator. Oh, an operator error on stand number 1 for Tom Lancaster as he fans the switch, missing on that upcut. That is not the way to run your second discipline of 2021.
14.84 for Thomas Lancaster. Josh Wilson posts the best time to beat 12.79, but don't expect that one to last for very long. Beat number 2 of the stock saw ready to go. Mike Esch from Pennsylvania looking to up his performance. Had a little bit of trouble in the underhand. Ditto for Daryl Weekland, who had a DQ in the underhand. Both these guys looking to right the ship in this heat.
Yeah, Daryl Weekland, a lot of bit of trouble in the underhand. A DQ is just a near fatal blow to your points total. Oh, in trouble right off the go for Daryl Weekland. He comes down and gets a couple fingers hung up on that chain break. It doesn't seem like much, but in this stock saw event, these guys are going after tenths or hundredths of a second, and he just lost a fistful right there. There you can see it. It was about 2 fingers of his left hand. He didn't get them closed around that grip. And again, we're getting fussy here because their competitors are getting fussy. We are down to micromanaging the stock saw discipline.
Mike Esch complete there with 12.16 and 12.69 for Weekland. Here's Trevor Beaudry, fresh from his victory in the underhand, going up against Aaron Hovis.
Both these guys look quick and clean to the block. No errors apparent right out of the gate. Steady stream. It's going to be Hovis with the advantage at the switch. Can Beaudry reel him in? Not quite enough. Hovis ahead at the switch. Hovis ahead at the end. So again, this is where we're at with the stock saw event in 2021. You've got to find every nanosecond you can along the way. There's nothing inherently wrong with either one of these cuts. One guy just dialed in that pressure, found that extra oomph, and was rewarded with a time that's about 2/10 faster.
Hovis a good time, 12.02 to take the top spot. Trevor Beaudry, 12.26.
No, in the past, stock saw has been my weakest event. It's been DQ City for me a lot, and that was a good cut, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Heat number 4 in an interesting matchup. Mel Lentz, all those national championships, all that time spent with a chainsaw in his hand, going up against the second-year man, actually second year to compete in the U.S. Championship action here, Nate Hodges of California.
We don't talk about footing a lot. Oh, and there, I was wondering, I'm like, Nate looks like he's way back off the block, and you see him change his footing in the middle of that cut. He's making it work. I mean, the saw is melting through that block, but that just introduces a lot of inconsistencies into your cut when you're shuffling around.
Still in all, a great time for Nate Hodges, 10.09. Mel Lentz, 11.59.
You know what, Nate? Shuffle your feet all you want. If you're going to put up a 10.09,
here we go, our top seeds in the stock saw. We're going to call this the West Coast Stock Saw Showdown, as a matter of fact, with Oregon's David Green going up against California's Walt Page.
my earliest memory of Walt Page in the collegiate ranks was his stock saw run, the very first time he ever stepped to the stage, and he was calm, cool, collected, where the other college students were a bundle of nerves. So it's been great to see that carry through this discipline for Walt. And there it is again, clean, just as David Green is, to the log. Green ahead at the switch. Walt Page is right with him.
Oh, no. Doesn't get any closer than that. take a look at the official times. Yeah, there you go. 1/100th of a second, 10.51 for David Green, 10.52 for Walt Page. Yet Nate Hodges with his 10.09 is your champ.
Doesn't get any closer than that.
That is probably the most nerve-wracking event out of all of them because it's won or lost by the least amount of time, and it's so easy to DQ it. So you got to be real careful. It gets the nerves going. It's like the easiest type of event, but it's also the most stressful because everybody on the stage, we've got, it's an equal playing field. You know what I mean? They provide the saw. We don't provide our own. So the only thing you can do is run it proper.
We are 2/3 of the way through round 1 of our Pool D competition. After this round, 2 competitors will be eliminated. Currently, that would be Daryl Weekland and Thomas Lancaster, who sit now at the bottom of our leaderboard. There's only one discipline remaining for them to make a move off the bubble, and that is the standing block, which is coming up next. But first, these athletes dedicate immense hours to training for these events, but many still find time to serve their community. Let's find out in the Ace Hardware Helpful Profile.
How I got started in the sport was a small lumberjack competition in my town. So every year, it's my goal to give back, and the whole reason that lumberjack competition exists in North Fork, where I live, is to help out the small children doing swimming programs, lunch programs in the summer. So you bet I'm there donating, giving back, and I love it. Just like Ace Hardware, I love getting involved and giving back to the community. I think that's very, very important.
STIHL Timbersports continues. Coming up on our third discipline, the standing block chop. As far as our overall total points go, Daryl Weekland at the bottom. Also Aaron Hovis, Mike Esch, and Tom Lancaster. We lose 2 of our athletes after the standing block. To tell us more, here's Dave Jewett in our Duluth Trading Company Discipline Review.
Athlete versus tree. Their goal, sever a 12-inch log. This is the standing block. The standing block mimics felling a tree with a racing axe as fast as possible. When the gun fires, you have to chop halfway through the log. In order to do that, know the log, be familiar with your equipment. The best athletes will put 10 to 12 hits in the front. The elite athlete will put 6 to 7 hits in the front. The turn is a 4-step motion with speed, minding the chips on the ground which you've removed. Run to the back side with no hesitation. Open up the backs with confidence, making a split decision. Do I take another chip for safety, or do I have the confidence to drive this log off?
So Daryl Weekland on the left, David Green on the right. Here we go. Heat number 1, standing block.
David Green opening 2 and 2. Daryl Weekland opening 1 and 1, and now attacking those corners. It's right now clearly advantage David Green. Weekland staying behind to do some extra homework on the front side of that log. Green looking to drive. I think he's coming in low on that stump. He is. He's a bit dog-legged on that stump. I think he knows that could have gone a lot faster. He was around the backside quicker. But you watch that time come and go. The axe is sticking. He's driving down into the stump of the log. He ends up with a 20-second cut, a solid time, but he knows it. You see the frustration with David Green. The backside of that log did not go according to plan.
Front one just like I wanted, but I just kind of got a little too risky on the back.
Good fast time, though, 20.03 for David Green. Daryl Weekland, 28.13. Ready to go standing block heat number 2, and again, a couple of athletes who really need to bring it. During this heat right here, we make the cut after the standing block, and down in the points are Mike Esch on the left, Thomas Lancaster on the right.
Mike Esch spends a lot of time working, grinding, refining axes. He's got a good cutting tool there, a clean-looking cut. Mike is an exceptional technician, and you talk to some guys around the trailer, they'll even tell you, maybe to a fault, he tries to do things so perfectly that he's reluctant to just let it fly and tear the block apart. In this case, it put him just a fraction of a second behind Tom Lancaster.
Yeah, 2/10 to be exact, 21.38 for Mike Esch and 21.18 for Thomas Lancaster. Heat number 3, and Trevor Beaudry, our winner in the Underhand going up against the legend Mel Lentz. At age 62 and competing well, again, he's going up, Kevin, against a man 30 years his junior.
Well, and I pointed out before, this is the advantage of lived experience. Mel has cut thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of these blocks, and he knows how to disassemble them to the best of his ability and the best of the conditions in front of him. Look at the top of the block for Beaudry just breaking away. Lentz looking to drive. He's got a lot of wood on the far side. He's looking to break it near. There it goes finally for him. And Beaudry just shattering the top of this log.
Mel Lentz 21.36, Trevor Beaudry 23.94. 6 competitors have completed their final discipline in round 1, and the outcome of our final 2 heats in the standing block 2 will be going home. Who will it be? We will find out when STIHL Timbersports continues. STIHL Timbersports is sponsored by STIHL, maker of a full line of gasoline and battery-powered handheld outdoor power equipment. Find yours at stihlusa.com. By the Duluth Trading Company, the official workwear of STIHL Timbersports. By Ace Hardware. Ace is the helpful place. And by John Deere. Nothing runs like a deer. We are halfway through our Pool D competition. David Green has laid down the time to beat in the standing block with 2 heats remaining. We will be eliminating 2 athletes after round 1, and at the moment that would be Thomas Lancaster and Daryl Weekland. Their fate depends on the final 2 heats of the standing block. Good competition so far for these 2 athletes from the West Coast. Nate Hodges, our sensation from 2019. Walt Page, he's been around long enough. He seems like a fixture out here at STIHL Timbersports.
Walt Page, just a great, consistent swing, excellent slope. Another student of the sport, just takes these blocks apart. Nate Hodges, just tons of,
Wow.
I was about to say Nate Hodges, just tons of horsepower, and then he goes and does like a Jason Lentz style rip the head off this thing. So 8 in the front, 8 in the back is a nice, clean, consistent cut. You can try to be the fastest guy to do it in 8 and 8, or Nate Hodges says, I'll just tear it off in 8 and 6.
Great time of 16.80 for Walt Page, but Nate Hodges 14.55.
Luckily, we've been blessed with some super good wood today. So unlike my underhand, I took advantage of it there and put a good 8-hit front in, and I knew it was going to come off in like 6 or 7 in the back. So it's great wood. Great. It was decent chop, good wood.
Final heat of the standing block here. Josh Wilson looking good on points. He's going up against Aaron Hovis. Aaron Hovis needs to put himself into the top 5 to avoid elimination.
Call this chopping for your gas money. You gotta work for this. You gotta stay in this event. And Hovis is around already. He's there on our near side and maybe a little short on the far side. We'll find out when he goes to drive this thing. Wilson is already driving. Busts right through the side of the stage, but showing 16 hits for Josh Wilson.
Good effort from both of these competitors. 18.75 for Josh Wilson, and Aaron Hovis saving his position there with an 18.96. But it would be Nate Hodges taking the standing block with a very fast time of 14.55. And that performance is our John Deere power play. Nothing runs like a deer.
So 8 in the front, 8 in the back is a nice, clean, consistent cut. You can try to be the fastest guy to do it in 8 and 8, or Nate Hodges says, I'll just tear it off in 8 and 6.
Nate Hodges will also hold on to the top spot in points as we move into round 2 of our competition. We now have to say goodbye to 2 of our athletes, Mike Ash and Daryl Weekland. So join us next time when we continue Pool D competition and decide who will be moving on to the STIHL Timbersports semifinals. For Kevin Holtz, I'm Tommy Sanders. We'll see you next time.